Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin AK Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 290. Look at us. 290 of Forever Exiled is here. And we're audio only, just two buds having a chat. Our Discord rocks. Don't forget to join Global 2121. Big shout out first off to our patrons. We love your faces. Thanks so much for resubbing up this week, everybody who did. Patreon gets access to After Dark. It is our podcast after the podcast where you get more of us, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you to everybody who subs up. We really appreciate it.
It is.
Did I nail that intro?
You nailed that, man. Your nice Ron Burgundy, read everything that's there bit.
Our Discord does good. Rock, though.
It does. Yeah, so does our global. Our community is just fantastic.
Great people.
And not because it's ours, it's because of the people. So thank you.
Great people.
Marvelous.
How was your week, friend?
Well, buddy, old pal, had a good week. We finished hosting in the middle of the week, and my wife had her birthday this week, so that was nice. It's always nice to, like, you always try and be a fantastic spouse, and do what you can, but it's easy to get caught into ruts. So birthdays are always, I mean, hopefully, someone doesn't need the reminder, but birthdays are always a pleasant reminder for all the extra little things that you could do for somebody, not just on the birthday, but every day. So it's nice to spoil her, and hopefully she felt spoiled. It ended up being a very uneventful day, but it was, as far as I could tell, everything that she wanted.
Was the family down for that?
Yeah, her parents stayed and then left on her birthday. Nice. And then, of course, we get the kids and do fantastic things with them and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we had that. And besides that, it was good, man. Like, I've been fighting. So, remember, I had the squirrels in the house, or not in the house, but in the roof. That got in the roof and hired them to get rid of the squirrel problem. Well, that was over a month ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And so my situation was, and it was getting very frustrating. I could completely ignore the problem, which being like I used to, be involved with hotels and stratas and things like that. Critters, birds, anything in a roof like that really can cause some long-term serious damage to your property and your structure. So for me, of course, I'm not going to let it happen. But if I just ignored this problem and pretend it didn't existed, I would have had 2 holes in my roof by the chimney and squirrels in my roof. So I paid this company, fully paid now, both installments, and I now have a squirrel or squirrels. Can't tell because it could be just a squirrel on drugs, or it could be a squirrel with a bunch of babies. But I still have squirrels in my roof, but I have 4 holes instead of 2.
You were going back and forth with them last week in emails. Did that ever go anywhere?
I was, yeah. And I was actually getting really frustrated. I even asked a friend that's in law how I would go about suing a company, because I've never actually needed to go to that length before. And, if there's certain ones that are better at, dealing with tradespeople and the fine protection that they have within, our legislation. And, so asking some questions. And so I'm like, I've been fuming. And I got the impression from these pest removal people, from these tradespeople, that like we just had that 4-day weekend, right? The Easter 4-day long weekend. Some companies only had 3, but many had 4. And on the Wednesday, like right at the end of the business day, I get an email from this person not acknowledging the incomplete basic service that they've done, but how they don't cover damage repairs to the house. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And this is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right. But so I tried contacting all day on Thursday, which wasn't part of the holiday. Apparently, I couldn't get through at all. Apparently, the whole office had Thursday off.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, and fine, like good, great, treat your customers great. But here I am, I'm like, okay, I'm getting scammed. I haven't even gotten what I paid for yet. And you're already telling me that you're not, going the extra mile when your company created further damage in my place. So anyway, I'm fuming all weekend. I give them a buffer day after the long weekend. So I call them on Wednesday, and the owner himself, who was emailing me, answered the phone instead of the receptionist. And right off the bat, he was completely on my team, on my side. Like, there was a huge miscommunication in their company, and someone was just being lazy and giving him false or incorrect information as to the quality of the job and what the circumstance was. So he was livid, and I went from like fuming and like inquiring about lawyers to like, oh, this is fine. These guys are great. It's just that one employee. So it was quite a reminder for me, of course, that things aren't always as they seem, even if they do seem that way. Like it did seem like they were a super cheap company that were trying to get away with things, throwing me under the bus, giving me that like skirty little email just before the long weekend. Oh, I can't reply for 5 days. Too bad for you. And even though that's what was like, there was no other way to think about it. It's still, that wasn't the case. So it was a good reminder for me to,
are they coming out then?
Not hate everybody first in my mind. So yeah, they're already here. They're already dealing with it.
Oh, sweet.
And it's like their top priority project until things are dealt with. So
sweet.
With the exception of letting the baby squirrels, if there are any, live. So I already told them, I'm like, listen, that was always the goal, but this has gone on long enough that like, I'm just going to close my eyes, my ears, and you guys just finish this up. Do what you need to do. Go get that scoop and drag them all out. But
leave them around the area to scare the other squirrels off.
That's right. So yeah, but there was that, and then the flooring got finished up, and I built my puzzle table, and I built a new console table.
Did you guys use the puzzle table
great.
while the family was over? Because you were going to do the puzzle you didn't like.
Oh right, yeah, and that one's still going on, but now it's at the stage where it's a little bit more tolerable. Like all the text, the pieces that have text are together, and all the different
you
colors
weren't liking this
and
puzzle.
prints. No, but it's almost done. And so, yeah, I'm at that stage now where it's like early access where there's those stages of like, ooh, but then, you get past that stage, or you get carried past that stage. And you're like, oh, this is fine. And you forget about everything you hated like 2 weeks ago. It's at that stage with the puzzle where all that crap is done. And I'm like, oh, it's the final run here. I'm at the last stage. I can see the finish line. So all of a sudden it's a great puzzle. But
sweet.
Yeah, no, things have been good. Grass is looking great, man. It's looking good. Like
our weather's been awesome.
It has been phenomenal. We're getting weather in the low 20s now, which is nice and not very common for us in April. Normally we're in the
sometimes
low
we get snow.
Teens. On occasion we get the Calgary snow in the spring, but it's been in the low 20s for us all week, and so the lawn's looking great. It's been driving me nuts though. I paid somebody already to do the weeding for me this year, to spray weed stuff, and I want to see how efficient it is and but I'm probably not going to do it again, not for a long time, but I want to get it done this year. And but after I paid, they're like, and we're going to do it in May kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. It's driving me nuts because I have to ignore it.
Oh, because
otherwise it's like I'm doing their job and I already paid for it, right? And so, but then like I have the gaps in my lawn, like my grass, instead of spreading into the gaps in my lawn, the bare spots, it's spreading into my garden where I don't want it. It's just growing in the wrong spots. Murphy's Law. And so it's driving me nuts because I see the weeds spread into the open areas. I'm like, nope, can't touch it. Out of principle. That's their job. I paid for it. And it's driving me nuts. Just like normally I would do the weeding while I'm mowing the lawn. I'm like, oh, there's another one. Off out
kind
it
of
comes.
sucks too if they wait till May, because it stops you from trying to do like spot overseeding right now. Yeah, it's not like you want to throw down any fertilizer if you've got weeds right there. I don't actually know when ours gets done. He did all of our stuff. I paid him. He does it in steps. I'm not really sure what they are. He aerated. I don't know. It looks good though.
Yeah, it does.
Green.
So yeah, and it's getting nice and thick except for those bare spots. So things are good. It's been a good week. Nothing to complain about. Kids are healthy. Wife is happy, or she better be. It was just her birthday. And living the dream, man. How about you? How was your week?
It was good. It was a lot of driving around. It was busy. We did Easter, obviously, over the weekend. So we had a bunch of family over. Christina does like a huge Easter egg hunt for all of the kids, like on my side and her side. So all of them come to the house and do an Easter egg hunt. And then she does one for the younger ones and then a different one for the older ones. So, And it's funny because they all still love it. Like even the older ones, like some of the older ones, like, I mean, Ethan would come, but he's on the island. He's 23. Our other nephew's 22. He came with his girlfriend who's also 22. Like we've got the 17-year-old, the 15, like they all love it. They have to like compete to find things and then they can trade them in for stuff. So she loves it. They all had a good time. I just sat on the couch because I effed myself on Sunday. I was
in a bad way, I assume.
Yeah, really bad way. We were up in the morning. I'm in the living room talking with Christina. I have no idea why. I just had this idea, but I I yelled for the girls to come into the front room, and then I hid behind the door. And when they came running in towards Christina, I scared them, and it was hilarious because they like pissed their pants. They fell down on the ground. But then Maya, of course, after like being scared, puts on her pretend crying thing, or like, so I'm trying to be nice to go to pick her up. But as I go to pick her up, she also jumps, and I actually could hear and feel my back just like crunch. It hurt so bad. And I was like, oh, and I was done, man. We watched the race on that Sunday, and I don't even remember a lot of it because I was so drugged. I hate having to take that much drugs because it just makes me super cloudy. So,
silver lining, the race was the most boring race on the planet. It's my favorite track.
Which track was it again?
It was Jeddah.
Oh yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
Like it's a one stop. Everybody's on the same strategy. Some people tried to mix it up, but
yeah, there was at least some passing. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was more the drama of Max and Piastri.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, it was.
I'm sorry you hurt your back.
Fine. Yeah, so I spent a few days pretty drugged up from it, and but then yeah, work.
And she now knows not to jump on you.
Nah, they all know not to jump on me. I went to pick her up. It was my own. Like, I wouldn't normally have done that, but I felt bad after like doing this hilarious scare. But yeah, and then I'm just double checking if there was anything else fun because most of it was just work.
Well, you double check. I forgot my coffee upstairs. Bye.
So that was my week.
I'm
kidding.
Mouth sounds. So you were going to say, you said something. We also did something.
Yeah. Well, we did an interview with my son, my 15-year-old. He was doing a career project, and he asked me if he could interview me and Tyler. And I was like, for what? He's like, for your podcast and for Tyler's streaming. I'm like, yeah. I said, I'll ask Ty. I'm sure he'll be fine. Like that. I'm sure that won't be a problem. But it's also not our jobs. But that's like, if that's what you want to do, I'm totally on board with it. So we did an interview with him. It was funny. But the day that we were doing it, Christina was asking him like, so are you all prepared? Are you ready for your interview? And he's got his little notes, and he's gone through, and he looked back through our past episodes, and he looked through different information on your Twitch, and he did a good job of researching it. And I heard Christina talking to him about, are you prepared? You know, did you get your questions? And I was laughing in my head going, don't embarrass me, kid. Like, but she said to him, like, you know that this is just like Dad and Tyler do it for fun though, right? Like, it's not they're not doing it to make money. And Logan goes, yeah, but that's just because they're not doing it right. It's so funny.
Well,
so hey, he's not wrong.
He did a fantastic job, though. He asked really questions. He was professional. He, like you said, it sounded like he did his research. So he did a very good job, and it was fun to do. So tell him again that he did a great job.
He was practicing his active listening so that he could ask questions followed up to our answers, which he tried. It was a little tough, but really he did really well.
He did, and I give long answers, and I had half answered questions that he hadn't asked yet, but that was part of his reactive questioning was
kind of touched on
so
this.
Tyler, you're screwing me over again. I was going to ask that and this and that. So
he sent me a message this morning saying that he had finished editing it, and he sent me the file, and I was like, 40 minutes. It's 40 minutes edited.
Wow, did we talk that long with him?
Took out all the beginning part. I took out all the quiet spots and filler words. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Good job. And then he was proud of himself that he was correct, that we did Camille's interview in 2020, because he had said, I think it was October 2020. He's like, I was correct. He sent me a screenshot. I'm like, I didn't say you were wrong, but good job.
Yeah, it was good. He did well.
In his, he sent me a picture from his teachers, like the information that they had to do. And it was regarding if you were going to do a podcast based version, like record it. And it says in the thing, standard length podcast. Most podcasts fall within the 30 to 1 hour range, which is considered the sweet spot. And he says, I think my teacher should have done some more research on how long the average podcast is. I'm like, well, we've always aimed for 45 minutes. So she's not wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Otherwise though, my week was just There was a week we're rewatching The Last of Us because we're going to wait till all of season 2's out and then we'll watch season 2. But I couldn't really remember season 1 that well, so we're rewatching through that. And then I played Last Epoch, which when we get talking about our stuff, that's what I'm going to be talking about because I wasn't going to.
But that'll be good. That'll be
people
good.
in Discord were like, "Oh, are you going to try it? Are you going to try it?" And I was like, "No, I might." And then all of a sudden, I'm like, "Well, I'm not doing anything right now. I may as well install it." And I played it this week. So no PoE for me this week. It was all Last Epoch.
Mm-hmm. That's still cool. That's cool.
What do we got this week in PoE?
Almost nothing. They had one patch. It was a hot fix. They fixed a bug where specters could spawn in town, and they temporarily disabled the gilded beetle as a specter, which is rude because that is an annoying. All those beetles and their movement speed. Oh, you can get in some pretty fun situations. Is that the one where like 400 of them come out? I don't know if that's the specific one where it's like the mother of beetles, but either way. God, some of the modifiers on that gilded beetle, if that is the beetle, sometimes, and it just like paces back and forth. Sometimes the modifiers on that can make that area awful to fight. Yeah. And then they had the update regarding Path of Exile 1, which typically we wouldn't care about, but this is in regards to referencing the release for 326 for Path of Exile 1. Yep. But that reference was because of the private league situation that they were talking about before. Remember, hey, we're going to add all these
I saw people talking
alternate ascendancies, and they're going to be free templates. They kept it just as unspecific, I guess you could say. Like, I could still see where people are going to be confused about what's free and what's not. Like if the template is free versus the actual private league being free. So they're still throwing the free word around. And well, it's people, I'm just reading it now. It sounds like if you choose to use one of the templates, it's free. You just can't add modifiers to it. So that would be free. It's free up to 20,000 people. That's what it sounds like. It's just, it's cool. New to people that normally do private leagues. That it's a new experience. So I was still going to wait to see what it's like. We're going to have one no matter what. For any of our listeners that like our private leagues, no matter the cost, we're still going to do it, whether it's free or not. But the timeline of it, they still don't have. They said next week we'll add 15 private leagues. So that is this coming, like from the time that you hear this podcast, it'll be this coming week. Wow. Yeah. So it'll be quite neat. That. And it'll be all based on the Settlers League that currently exists. So that'll still be a part of it. But we're doing something different. We'll pick some fun template for sure. It's not going to be just Settlers. I don't want to do just Settlers League. We'll have to pick one of the... Well, yeah, like at least the alternate ascendancies or something. Or that'd be cool if you could even mix and match a little bit. Yeah, but I wonder if you can. So we are going to have one. In terms of keep an eye on Discord. It'll be in announcements because we don't even know when this part's being released, right? It just says... Well, they said next week we'll add 15 private league templates for PC. Okay. And again, just because there's, we're in Path of Exile 2 land now where everything's cross-compatible. These are PC only. We don't do them on Xbox or PlayStation. So first week of May-ish is when they'll release them. And we'll just have to figure out a 10-day spot because we'll still do a 10-day. Yeah. Those were good timing. I was thinking originally, and this isn't in stone, but just between Justin and I, I was thinking maybe like if you're looking at your calendar, the 10th to the 20th. Yeah, I think we usually start on the Friday and it ends on the following Monday. I think that's what I did. Oh, okay. Well, 9th to 19th, but like something around there, because then you're looking at like 5 weeks. That like 9th and 10th time frame is around 5 weeks after the 0.2 launch. Mm-hmm. Right. So if GGG was doing 0.3 12 weeks after the 0.2 launch, that would be like almost halfway in there kind of thing. Plus at some point in the middle of they're going to have 326. So yeah, let's tentatively plan for that, but keep an eye on Discord. It'll be in our announcements section once it's ready to go. That should be fun though. I am curious though, like they're talking June. Yeah. But isn't that the 3 month? When did 0.2 come out? I think we were closer to 4. There's no way they release them both at the same time. So I imagine no update comes for PoE 2 until more towards July. Until July, hey? Mm-hmm. That's a long time. It's not that long, really. I mean,
it's long in the sense that if you're looking for major changes, but it's not long in the sense of them still developing everything.
No, that's very true. It's just in my mind, there's still a lot of the core things that aren't working properly. I guess you could say, like, loot is still like, you can't fix loot quickly. You know what I mean? That's a long, drawn out process that you want to nail for launch. So it's one of those things you can't just make a change and hope it works and sticks. You know what I mean? Like, it's a philosophy that you really like just got to grind and grind and grind.
I think that's why it takes a long time, though. Because I think right now, too, at least for me, there's a lack of fun. And that's not an easy fix. I don't know what that fix is, but I don't know. I don't see them coming out at the same time. That would be crazy to me. It would not make sense to me for them to drop both at the same time.
No, not unless their numbers show a disparity between Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 players. Like if they're seeing that a lot of Path of Exile 1 players aren't playing Path of Exile 2, then maybe it's not a big deal, right? I don't know how, if those are numbers they can see, if those are like, if that's data that they can somehow separate. Like, what if there is a minority of Path of Exile 1 players playing PoE 2 and it is mostly new players or people trying, like content creators? I don't know.
I just don't think it wouldn't be smart to put out both at the same time, because people are a lot of Path of Exile players are probably going to want to play both. And so putting them out at the same time wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So yeah. It'll be interesting. I really, really hope, even though I'm not playing Path of Exile 1, that they do not push 326 again. Like, I really, really hope they do actually drop a 326 in June.
Because they've done such a horrible job maintaining both games, even though Path of Exile 2 is their future, I agree with you.
I don't know that they've done a horrible job of maintaining both. It's because 325 is running fine. It's working fine. It's just they haven't come out with anything new for 325.
But that's been against their entire company structure and basis since the dawn of time. Like, I'm just saying that was never their intention. And to them, that's a failure. Like,
well, and they've also multiple times pushed 326. So they're struggling somehow on their organization or something.
And I think it's kind of like been one of those double-edged swords where they've done such a good job improving their Path of Exile 1 releases over time, to the point where the base product that you're getting, the vanilla experience on launch, has been getting better with Path of Exile. And Settlers is a phenomenal league, and the game is in a great state. Whether you like Settlers or not is different, but the game itself, if Path of Exile 2 never existed, there was never even a hint of it. This is a really well-established league. And so I'm sure because it's such a well-established league, that kind of helped them, or it was part of their decision making. Like, let me put it this way: if Path of Exile 1 was in a bad state and this was a bad league, I don't think it's ever a consideration to push. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe that, I don't think they change what they do with Path of Exile 2. I just think it just stretches them crazy thin, and then you kind of get like not really full fixes or production on all sides. But I think they're not fortunate, because it's just been what they've been doing. They've just been a lot better at their quality lately. Last few years lately. It's really worked in their benefit, but also then, again, the double-edged sword against them, because then they were maybe a little bit more comfortable pushing. But I agree, even though Path of Exile 2 is their future, I think it would be so devastating to them to push 326 again.
Yeah, I don't think it happens.
Not like, if 326 is coming out and you have to bump it a week, that's different than, shoot, things aren't working out, see you in August.
I honestly, though, like, I've always hated when they give dates. And so for me, when they give us a date, which they haven't, they've just said June. But when they do give a date, that better be the date, because it wouldn't make sense to me for why you would need to push a Path of Exile 1 league by a week after you've already committed to a day. So when they do decide to commit to a day, I hope that it is a set in stone date. So yeah, that's cool.
It is. And so I was hosting this week, and then that just wasn't able to catch up with my personal life, I guess you could say. There was lots of things that I needed to catch up on, so I didn't have much time to play, but I did.
You played yesterday, right?
I did put some effort in to force myself to play, even though I would have been too tired, or I shouldn't have, or whatever the case was. But you played Last Epoch.
I did. Also, just to throw this in here, because I know that there's some people who skip ahead. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the 5 button thing, because also the comments on Spotify have been fun to read, because now you can comment on podcast apps, which is new. So say hello, but also hit the 5-star. There's our ad. See, Logan?
That's right. Self-promo.
That's right.
Oh, is he criticizing us for not self-promoing?
I don't know what he is. He thinks we should probably sell all the mobile games that want us to promo them.
We sell Forever Exiled vibrators, and
that's right. With
our
the
faces
with
are
the
on
AI
them.
faces, with the AI
That's
faces
right.
for sure. Yeah, I played Last Epoch all week. Like, I got right into it. I really, really liked it. Like, I'm still having fun playing it. I'm playing it on controller, which I didn't the last time. It's taken me a little bit to adjust to the controller, because it's controller and keyboard and mouse. Like, you can use both, which is great. I want that in PoE 2 as well. Like, it's just on the fly. I can at any point just start doing my inventory with my keyboard and mouse. But it took me a bit to get used to all the buttons and how it all works. It's also, I don't really know Last Epoch that well. So, like, I've played it, but understanding systems in an ARPG is difficult, right? Like, I would be terrified to go into PoE as a new player now. So Last Epoch was like that for me. It's not as complex as Path of Exile is, but it still has its systems that you're trying to figure out. And, you know, you've got a skill tree, or your passive skill tree, but then you've also got each skill has its own skill tree, and it's based on which skills you have equipped. That's one thing I actually like about it, is you can't even make a massive boatload of button builds, because the skills that you put into your slots that you have available, those are the only skills you can use. And that even includes active auras or things that are on you. So, like, I like that, because it simplifies what you're trying to do. You're limited to how many of the skills you can use and how you use them. So that's nice for me, because I don't want to hit 40 buttons. So on the controller, you've got a pretty limited amount of buttons that you have to use. And so it makes it really easy.
I like that. But the complexity is forcing simplicity.
Yeah. And it's cool trying to figure out, like, how do I make these things work? And do I want to turn this skill now into an aura that's no longer an active skill? But in order to still have it as a active aura, I have to have it on my button bar. And I like that, because I'm not having to also balance auras while trying to add new and additional skills into it. So it's fun. I really, really liked it. Like, I know that in every case, there's always comparisons. Like, people will go, oh, well, Path of Exile does this better, and Diablo does that better, and Last Epoch does this better. And I get that. Like, obviously you can't play Last Epoch without comparing it to Path of Exile as you're playing through it. But I just enjoyed it as its own game. There were things about it that I liked better than Path of Exile, and there were things that I liked better about Path of Exile. But man, Last Epoch was fun. Like, for me, it's close. It's not what I would like PoE 2 to be, but it's closer than what I like. I finished the campaign in Last Epoch in about probably 5.5 hours. I made an alt character later on, and you can bypass parts of the campaign by running a dungeon. You can go into the end game early on and start leveling up, farming up items. I like targeted farming. So if I know that there's a specific item that I want that drops from this person, I can work myself towards being able to farm that boss or that encounter, or work myself up to it to hopefully get the drop. I like the way that the crafting system works. I know there's people that are like, it's too deterministic, but I don't mind that. Like, I don't need the super complex, hard to figure out crafting system. I'm not a huge fan of the Path of Exile 2 current crafting system. Like, I don't not like it, but Last Epoch was just fun. Like, I could try to figure out any issue that was coming up with my build myself. And not only that, but it's built that when you get to a certain point in the game, you pick between these two factions. You're taken to this place and you pick which faction you want to join. And there's the two purposes of those two factions is, one of them is the Merchant's Guild, and it unlocks a bazaar where you can trade with other players and sell with other players. And the other one, I think it's called the Circle of Fortune. That is completely solo self-found. There's no trading with other players. All you're doing within that faction and that guild is ranking up to affect your drops that are going to happen when you play the game.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Isn't that cool? Like
to level up kind of like your account or your character or whatever it is. I remember Age of Empires 3 used to do that. There were benefits for playing the same civilization over and over and over.
And stuff.
And you don't get that benefit in Age of Empires 4. And I really like that. That would be a wonderful way to encourage some replayability in Path of Exile too, is give your account for that league benefits for not necessarily hours played, but some sort of milestone that you can keep improving. Yeah, perfect. There it is.
The more mobs you kill, the more you rank up with the faction. And as you rank up with the faction, what it does is it not only does it affect the drops, but it affects the tier of the drops. So the tiers of the modifiers that can roll as you progress further into the circle of faction, it can't be called circle fortune. As you progress further into them, it actually makes it so that it's more likely that the affixes on the items will be a higher tier. Like Last Epoch made me not even think about the idea of needing to trade. And that's never my Path of Exile experience. I don't like solo self-found Path of Exile. I like the trade version just because there's such a huge, at least for me, difficulty getting the type of gear that I want. Last Epoch has been so fun. I also like it because I got into the game and I just started winging it. I was like, oh, that guy looks cool. He's big. He's got a beast and I'll try him. And I started playing with him. But you can kind of just go and figure it out as you go. And then I got that character to 94. And then I made an alt character and I was like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to see what guides are like because I don't know how guides work with Last Epoch. But what's cool is even when somebody creates a guide, you can't just follow it. Like you can follow it in the sense of like, here's the passive skill tree. Here's the skills and how you can build out the skill trees for each of those skills. But you can't really completely copy the guide because while they may suggest you use this unique, first off, you're going to have to farm that unique, which the Circle of Fortune makes it better and easier for me to farm, find out who the boss is that drops it and work my way to repeating that area to fight the boss. But they have this thing where uniques drop and uniques have a very low chance of dropping with, it's called LP, legendary potential. And it can randomly have 1 to 4 legendary potential. And then what that means is that's a unique item, but then you're taking exalted items that drop on the ground, which have maybe one really well-rolled affix, and you can go run a dungeon and slam that exalt into your unique, and it uses up one of those legendary potentials or 2 or whatever, how many you have, but you can start to build your uniques even more different, which makes it very hard to just follow a guide because you're not always going to be able to have that stuff. So I don't know, man. It was fun. Like I'm blasting through maps. I'm killing mobs. The loot filter. Oh my God, the loot filter. I love it. I know I've seen the arguments in our Discord about how Filter Blade works great. And you can't I don't know that you can't have Last Epoch experience Filter Blade in Path of Exile, but I've been told you can't. It's too complex. I don't disagree. I have no idea. But the ability within Last Epoch to just like open my filter, put the item on the ground, see a little number in brackets, and then reference my filter to go like, oh, that's why it's showing like that, and adjusting it on the fly. It was awesome. It was so much fun. So I felt more a part of the filter experience than I do with Filter Blade. Like Filter Blade, I tend to just like take the template, throw it into my game, and I play. I'm not often going through and manipulating or editing that. I know there are people that do, but I don't. Last Epoch, it was so easy to just like Shift F, open my filter and go like, oh, that's why it's there. Maybe I don't want that there. Or making sure that the affixes that I want or the types of, I just found it more engaging to stay into it. So yeah, man, it's fun. It's not got like a ton of end game stuff. Like for me, I'll probably play it hard for like 2 weeks for sure. Like I'm in week 1. I started on Friday. I've got 2 characters. My character that I'm really liking right now is level 96. And I still haven't done the stuff I want to do, but I guarantee you by the end of 2 weeks, I'm probably done. And that's fine. That's how I used to play Path of Exile.
Yeah. But you're enjoying your experience, where there's a lot of times where even in the original Path of Exile experience, and maybe it's just the consequence of being familiar or being a long-term fan and playing something long-term. Maybe sometimes it's unfair, but the little things drive us nuts, right? Whereas we're not familiar with the little things with a new game. But the Path of Exile experience pre-beta was fun and frustrating equally. And so it must be really nice to play. And even if it is just because of more like a honeymoon stage, or you're new to the experience and you don't see all the small details that you wish were fixed, it must be a very refreshing experience to just go in and love it.
And you know what? It solidified for me, and I know people have had arguments against what I've said last week, and some that are agree.
I don't remember anything about last week.
Now, most of the time I don't either, but I don't like how long the campaign is in Path of Exile 2. And I'm never, ever like an alt character with a bunch of stuff taking 18 hours. Granted, maybe only 14 of that is in the actual areas. That is not fun. And what used to keep me in Path of Exile 1 playing for 2-3 weeks, however long I play, was mapping. Always. That's what it was. Get me to maps and let me just blast and have a good time. Last Epoch nails that. They're just like, well, we're going to make it fun. We're going to get you to the area that we know that players want to be in. The campaign still is a thing, but 5 hours and I'm done. And it didn't feel like a slog. Like I actually could feel myself getting more powerful as I got items, as I leveled up my skills. Like that's what I'm missing from Path of Exile 2. It's not that I don't like endgame, even though I think it's not super fun. I think it's lacking still, but they can fix that. That's early access. What makes me nervous is that they are seeming to be committed to this idea that the campaign should be this length or this difficult and that it should be fun. And it's not. And Last Epoch for me just nailed it. Like when I finally get to the monoliths and I'm starting to do the monoliths, that's fun. Now my character's leveling up. Now I'm getting new drops. Now I can push, it's called corruption, and I'm trying to get better drops, and I'm trying to make the enemies harder. And it's at my decision whether I take it to the next step and make the enemies harder at the potential of getting better items. But I'm just going, like I'm playing, I'm into the end game so quickly. Yeah. And Path of Exile 2 just crushes me to try and get to that point. Cause I like Last Epoch, I will probably play like 3 other builds. I have no doubt that I want to try other characters. And in my head, I'm going, that's no big deal. It will take me like 2.5 hours and I'll be into endgame. And that's where I want to be. That's where I'm going to spend my time. Like, I don't understand still their philosophy on the idea of the slog to maps, but yeah.
Do you remember way back when Path of Exile 2 was conceived, and it seemed like 2 seconds later they had an announcement about it, and then they had a conference about it, and they were originally going to have 2 campaigns as one end game? Like, it was going to be one game, and they were going to have 2 campaigns, but then it was going to be a shared end game.
Well, it was Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 each had their campaign into the end game,
but then it was the shared end game.
Yeah,
and the idea was that the campaign, even though it was going to be a different number of acts, was going to be the same length.
Same time. Mm-hmm.
Right? And then they were even talking about the specifics of, and we'll make sure that you get the same amount of free passive points and at different points so that, it's all equal and fair, and you're picking your experience based on the ascendancy you want to be. I wonder when that changed. Or if, I guess it has changed, whether it was intentional or unintentional, but an experienced player can obviously fly through the Path of Exile 1 campaign. An inexperienced player will take 10 hours. Like an inexperienced player is 10 to 12 hours in the campaign, right? And that's not being generous to the user. That's being generous to the duration. Like, it could still take a brand new player to Path of Exile much less time to do that, as long as they find combos. Remember, it's not a new player friendly game. So once you find a skill, or if you're following a guide, whatever it is, you're looking at around 10 hours. It's a very different experience in Path of Exile 2. I'm curious when or how, what the conversations were to have that transition change, or maybe they put so much effort into the design of how it all works that they don't have the guts to remove that content. I don't know. Like, there's sometimes the company, like we joke about leagues and them not being able to let go of league mechanics. And so, they just try and throw it in, as a joke, of course. But then they also have other times where they're just willing to completely cut stuff because of feedback. And so there's that dichotomy there, but you wonder, I do as a fan, why the emphasis. Now, we touched on that a lot last time, so we don't need to get into, in our opinion, cons, but the pros and cons of such a long campaign. But I'm wondering when that changed for them, because originally it was supposed to be the same experience. And then, 10 hours later, you're in maps. I'm curious if, because there's been a lot of talk in Last Epoch, and I'm sure that's just not our community, that, it just bleeds and, it's the process of osmosis, where I'm sure Last Epoch is quite infiltrated right now into the Path of Exile community. I'm curious how much impact that has with GGG going forward. They're at a really unique stage right now of beta or early access. Sure, they have a lot of commitment going into everything that they've already done, but they're still at a stage where they can make some pretty big decisions and change things, right? They're still a long way off from official release. I'm curious how much impact LE is going to have or has had on Path of Exile so far.
My hope for them is just that I said it last week, just remember that they're making the game for fun. I am completely inundated in Last Epoch because it's fun. That's why I'm playing it. You could say it's new, which is certainly true. It's different, but I've played a lot of new games that I wouldn't spend this much time in because 100%. I just didn't enjoy it. The fun factor wasn't there. It might be new and cool, but then I just lose interest. Last Epoch has got me hooked. I'm having a good time playing it, and that's what I want from Path of Exile, and I don't want the slog to get to that point. So I know that they can fix Endgame. Endgame is not even close to where it's going to be later, right? Like there's so much they still need to do with Endgame, but the campaign still needs to be sorted, because that's my tool to get to the Endgame. And as long as they maintain this idea that the campaign is fun and so are maps, it's not. Unless I feel like I'm getting more powerful through the campaign and I can actually feel it in my character, and the zones are not like just ginormously huge. Like the campaign in Last Epoch is very linear. There are zones that you can go in, but the objective marker is showing you in your mini map, like it's in this general direction. Head in this. You could detour if you want, but head in this general direction towards your next encounter or whatever. So it's just, I don't know, man. Like I don't play an ARPG for the campaign. I just don't. So I want to get to the end game as fast as I can, because that's where I have fun. Yeah. And I haven't spent any money on Last Epoch, but I can tell you when I get to the end game is when I don't even equip MTX in Path of Exile until I'm in end game. It's always been a rule for myself. I will not equip MTX till I'm into the end game. I'm not going to get there enough times in Path of Exile 2 to want to buy any MTX.
Why is that a rule for you?
I don't know. It just felt like a reward. It's always felt like a reward to me that I get to equip my MTX. I don't know why. I've just always had that.
That's funny. I'm the opposite. I like to equip the MTX that I want to use, because in Path of Exile 1, it doesn't show the MTX, or it didn't. I think they actually changed that recently, but it didn't show the MTX until you actually equipped an item. Mm-hmm. But I liked very quickly to have a rare only filter. So there'd be some items where like I don't even have a belt until like Act 5. You know what I mean? Not like that one. That's a bad example, but because you don't have an MTX for it, but still. So we talked lots about the campaign last week, and obviously there's the comparison this time around to the well fleshed out Last Epoch. And whether it's campaign specific or like you referenced the term tool, at the end of the day, the goal for GGG should be to not discourage us or have the users discouraged to try a new idea. You know what I mean? So irrelevant of if the campaign is the issue that's the hurdle that's blocking us, right? Demotivating us. Is that wait, how do you say demotivate? Yeah, demotivating, unmotivating, whatever it is. We in a game like Path of Exile, you should want to try an idea. We always joke around about, I forget what the order is, but like I'm with, is it Betty and Veronica or Wilma and who in the Flintstones? I'm with Betty, but I'm thinking of Veronica, or I'm with Wilma, but I'm
Betty
thinking
and
of
Wilma. Yeah, that's
Betty,
the Flintstones.
Yeah, either way, like, it's like, so you put all this effort into trying out and theory crafting a build and an idea, and you finally get to it, you get through the campaign, and it's like, you're halfway through, your build's not even there yet. You're not even like, you don't even have all the skill combos set up yet, and you're already thinking about your next build, right? Like you spend all this time preparing, but there's the excitement of going through and trying out a new idea, and then trying out a new idea. Oh, well, I really like this, but what if I did this with bleed instead of poison, or I did this, but But when you have a hurdle that's literally saying your ideas just don't bother. You know what I mean? Like when you have something that's so tedious in front of you to try that idea, it takes all that excitement for theory crafting. And it's like, I'm just going to try this one thing. And if it doesn't work, fine, I'll move on. I'm going to turn on Netflix or Last Epoch or whatever. So I really hope they nailed it. Whether it is specific to the campaign, whether they allow skipping or they cut out a bunch of stuff or whatever the situation is. Like we've emphasized, we don't play games that have an end game for the precursor campaign. So I hope they figure it out. It's a tough thing because they have an insane amount of investment in it. I'm glad that there's an example like Last Epoch out there. I wish they had the game for console.
You should just play it on PC. I think you'd really like it.
I don't have a PC. My wife has a PC.
Then get
the only time I'm allowed on my PC is for the podcast. That's it.
You should play it. I think you'd actually really like it. And the theory crafting and playing around with it is very fun, and it's very freeing because you can't really screw anything up because it's easy to fix it. But yeah, like even the way they deal with if you want to respec a skill, right? Because skills have their own skill tree. So you can respec it at any point. So if I put my 20 points into my skill tree for a skill and I go, I actually kind of want to try that, I can unspec the points at any point. I don't get those points back, but now the skill has an XP advantage because that's how the skills level up. So it will level up faster now. So I'll get those skills back, but I still have to play. I still have to go out and kill things to level it up. But
I miss that gems leveling up. I do. There's something about earning XP on everything that I love.
Well, that's
like even Borderlands 1 weapons had XP and you'd level the weapons up.
Okay, you said Borderlands 1. It's funny you say that. Last Epoch loot reminds me of Borderlands loot. It reminds me of opening a chest and having a boatload of stuff come up and you get excited and you're looking for that one thing that you want. And Last Epoch has so much loot. Like there's so much loot. But because you can filter everything exactly the way you want, you don't care. I see purple lines and gold lines for exalts and uniques, but I already know they're filtered out because they're not what I'm looking for. So you can drop more stuff when you give the control to like really nail down. And again, I don't know the nuances of like the complexities of Path of Exile and why that doesn't work. But all I'm saying is in Last Epoch, it works awesome. It's so much fun to feel like I have control and understand what I'm doing and how I'm getting it. So, well, anyway, all I was trying to say is when you, like you said, when you have an idea, it's fun to be able to act on that idea. In Last Epoch, a unique dropped and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I wonder what you could do with that. The leveling of a character and getting a character to the campaign part wouldn't stop me from trying it. Whereas in Path of Exile 2, there are so many things I'd still like to try. There are so many. They came out with all these new ascendancies. They've got the new class, all the different versions of it. I can't do it. I'm not doing the campaign. It's just not fun. I don't enjoy it. So that sucks because then it means I'm not playing it. And that doesn't mean I won't. I may still, like I was talking with somebody about the Katava Warrior one, which I did really want to try. So it's possible I'll do it, but that's a commitment, man. Like 14 to 20 hours to get to just the end game. Like, I don't know if I want to. That's not fun. There's no fun part for me in that process.
I'm really curious what the answer would be without just saying like, we're cutting every act in half and then we're going to find a way to make the lore work out.
I don't know either.
Like make ascending earlier. You ascend in Act 1 and you ascend in Act 2 and you ascend in Act 3, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you could. I don't get the like, it's just me personally. I don't understand the marriage to the campaign. I like in almost every ARPG, you have to play the campaign through with a new release, a new season, a new league, whatever. You have to play through the campaign one time. So I get that part. I just don't understand for alt characters. That's the part where I get lost. Like if I played your campaign, I played the product that you made to get to that point, why not make it easier for me to get to what we're all here to play, which is the end game, faster? I did the campaign one time per league. I'm totally fine with that. I don't think you should ever just not have it. Yeah, exactly.
I've already paid. Right here. You stamped my hand. I'm allowed back in.
So I don't know. I just don't understand that concept. I don't get it. I've never understood that. The Path of Exile 1 has been the same way forever. It's just that Path of Exile 1, I could get through the campaign faster. I will be honest though, Path of Exile 1 even for alts was like, I know I can do it quickly, but like, do I want to? I've just done it so many times. And so that's probably just the repetitiveness of it that makes it harder. Path of Exile 2 is not the repetitiveness. It's just, it is legitimately how long it takes. And I cannot speed that up in any way. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is either. My solution is make me play your campaign one time, but then give me a faster way afterwards. Let me get to building my character faster for alt characters. I don't know. But anyway, Last Epoch was fun. Granted, there are things that it's lacking. Path of Exile nails some other things better. Last Epoch, if I'm just playing Last Epoch, I had a blast.
Yeah. Well, you're not regretting your time spent. You only get a certain amount of personal time to yourself in between engagements and work and all that. And you want to feel like you enjoyed your time. For example, last night.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, last night I signed on to play Path of Exile. I've been stoked. I haven't been able to play for like 2 weeks. I was so excited. And I'm at the stage now. Remember when the E-patch came out and they made all these changes to the leveling experience, I guess you could say, with all the different types of changes they made. I made a new Lich character and I'm going through. And so I'm like halfway through Act 2 in that one. But I haven't ascended yet. So then I compared my first Lich to my second Lich, the one that I made at the beginning of point 2, and then the one that my fresh one with E. And I'm like, well, they're almost the same. Like, it's the same build. I just wanted to see what the differences were, but I don't like ascending at all. So I'm just going to go with this character, right? The one that's already ascended. So already there's that thing where I'm avoiding contact, and it's already like this is just a fresh character. And I'm already at the situation where I'm trying to avoid something because I find it tedious and unfun to the ARPG experience. But now I'm at the boss for the end of Act 2, right? Jamanara or whatever, right?
Jamiroquai.
Yeah, Jamiroquai. And it is not a fun fight at all. For me to not have movement speed. And now I'm the witch. Like, I don't have innate skills, right? Like other classes, they'll have, the spear or block or whatever it is. Like, the witch doesn't have any innate skills. They just have dodge roll, right? So I'm going through and I'm trying my build, whatever, and life's going on. But it's that fight is not meant for default movement speed and dodge roll.
When the freaking laser chases you, it's like, I don't know what to do. Why is it chasing me?
Right. The slinky is crazy dangerous. But then you have like even the lightning spear, the default lightning spear that the guy throws, the projectile speed's so fast that there's no moving out of the way. You're going to get hit a certain amount of times unless you're really, really close. There is a way to get around it.
Time it. You like cast, roll, and you have to find the timing between it because you have to pre-roll to his cast.
Right. And there's not enough space between the cast time for the actual dodge roll to be effective because there's very little time for you to throw in some offense. But that's not the only thing that's happening. So especially when you get into the second stage of that fight where there's tornadoes happening, the tornadoes are just as fast as me with my default movement speed.
How do they know?
And then when they add the lightning spear and then the tornadoes on the boss, but then the boss is going to do that big range thing. It's just like, so anyway, it's not fun. And when you have default movement speed as the witch, again, because I don't have any of those like dashes or blocks or anything like that. When you have the default movement speed as the witch, you're pretty much based on like, what's the boss going to roll? Like what the RNG aspect of the boss fight, but you're pretty dependent on it. And so I was fighting the boss for 45 minutes. I get and I get like, this isn't really a complaint. I just hope they change it. But like, I know it's early access. But anyway, so I sit down to play early access and I'm super stoked, but I forget I'm at the Jamiroquai fight at the end of Act 2. And I go in and I fight and I'm like 45 minutes retrying. Oh, that was stupid. 45 minutes. Well, nothing I could do there. 45 minutes. I thought I was at full life. How did I die? Okay. 45 minutes. So, the 50-minute mark comes and I'm like, well, I got an hour before I go to bed. This isn't what I want to do. Right now, I get, again, early access. I get it, but it's the thing of now I've had 2 hours to myself. Did I enjoy my time? Last Epoch's getting it for you. And that's good.
I really think you should try it just to see.
I probably will. Again, with early access, I know I'm playing early access. So if I don't like my 2 hours at the end of the day, I get it. But at the end of the day, the goal is that it's not going to feel like early access for forever and ever. So
do you know what
where they're at
reminds
in
me
that process?
My experience this week with Last Epoch has reminded me of the times and the leagues that have come out in Path of Exile 1 that I've loved, where you go to bed and as you're falling asleep, you're thinking about your build and you're thinking about like, oh, I could try that, or what if I move this around, or how could I? That's 100%. What Last Epoch has been this week, and that's fun. Like, I like that. I like thinking about it outside of playing it.
Yep. So, and until Path of Exile or GGG figures out character progression better, those dreams don't happen. You don't go to bed thinking about, because before you start that daydreaming or as you start it, you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. It's a waste of time.
There have been
like,
times when we record that I have to tell myself, don't play before we record, like after that. Because I know sometimes I'm going to get myself pissed off and just go into, because I'm not meaning to rant. We're not ranting on GGG or Path of Exile, because Path of Exile is still a good game. It's just right now, yeah, the progression is weird. I just don't, it's not engaging for me. And that's, for me, that's a problem, because it's a video game. I'm playing it to have some fun. So give me my fucking fun.
That'll be good. I am really excited to see what the final product's going to be like. I can't wait for the changes. I'm really curious. Like, G's changes are neat and they have yet to come out, but I'm really looking forward to what.
Laundry done? Or dishwasher? Which one?
I'm just waiting. I didn't want to speak while my dryer's chinging was going off, but I'm really curious what 0.3 is going to be like. Like, they did a lot of focus. I was nervous about 0.2, and they really tackled endgame. And then post-launch, they really tackled character progression. And they really did. Like, despite our criticisms, they really did tackle character progression. And it is a process. Like, you have to go through and see what these changes are like before you can make more. So
they can't do them big, and it makes sense. Mark said that. Chris has said that. Like, they've all said, if they go too far one way, they can't take it back. So I do totally understand the slow progression towards it.
Yeah. And so I am really curious, because a lot of the criticisms, it is the duration. It's, even if you had the campaign rewarding, which they don't have loot figured out properly at all, which is too bad, because that would be like you're saving grace to a tedious length, right? At least you feel rewarded for doing what you're doing. But now I'm playing through 20 hours and I'm not getting rewarded. But even if they had that, length is the biggest problem currently for character progression. Right. So that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing to cut. That's a lot of work to cut. That's a lot.
I don't know I don't know if they cut or make it smaller, or they do something about your movement speed so that you're not as slow and you're actually feeling some power into the character. I know that the whole idea is to slow the game down. This isn't the version of slowing the game down, though.
Yeah, no. But even though, like you mentioned, though, the type of campaign that Path of Exile 2 is compared to the first game. And there is no way to zip through it with the exception of just having crazy offense. Like, there's no way to make the campaign
and
faster.
Massive movement speed. Like, way, way, way higher movement speed for your character.
Yeah, but then that changes everything. Faster. You know what I mean? Like, that's... Well, I know. Changing that movement speed is such a huge altering change to every aspect of the game. So... like, they're just in a tricky spot, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. 0.3 is going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see. Of course, they'll have changes for both the progression, both beginning and end game, but I'm curious to see where their mentality is once that announcement comes. And these are the things we're looking forward to. Obviously, it's going to come with a new, Dawn of the Hunt style release, so be exciting. But I mean, that's what, 2 months away still.
Yeah, well, 3/26 even before that. So sweet. All right, let's wrap this up. Forever Exiled. I'm Justin AK Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons will catch you later on in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in 291. Hopefully you're having a great week. Don't forget to hit the 5-star button and all the things. If you're looking for more information, we got a website, foreverexiled.com. We have the best Discord. Pop in there and say hello. And Patreon, other ways to support the podcast. You can find them down below as well as on said website.
Love ya. Also, I got to run. I have been pinched since I came back and sat down with my coffee that I got. I didn't have the guts to say like, oh, I gotta go again. I've been pinching since like that 20-minute mark. Or no, it was like 10-minute mark. So anyway, I'll be right back. I'll get you a title in a sec. I'm going to stop recording now too.